My friends, it seems like one of the things that people have the hardest time with is waiting on the Lord. You know, there are times that we're doing something and God, you know, we're going and moving forward and but there's times that God has some purpose. He's waiting. Maybe He's getting you ready. He's cleaning you up. He's doing something. You know, He's dealing with situations. There's times that God says, wait. I was looking today, Acts chapter 1, verse 4. You know, Jesus had just been resurrected, risen up from the dead, and He hasn't gone back to heaven yet, but He's just getting ready to go. And one of the last things He did, Acts 1 verse 4, being assembled together with them, He commanded them, do not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which He said, you have heard from me. So, you know, basically Jesus is saying, okay, I'm going back to the Father. Don't do anything. Just wait until the promise of the Lord comes. Well, just a few verses later, you know, they are together a few verses later, the beginning of chapter verse 15, Acts 1:15. Though in those days Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples. You know, Peter got up. You know, what did the Lord said? Wait. But Peter stood up. And, you know, we know the story that goes through this whole thing. Well, you know, there's nobody, you know, Judas is gone. Judas hung himself. And now, so we need to appoint another disciple. Verse 21, therefore it is necessary for us to choose one of the men who have been with us the whole time the Lord Jesus was living among us. You know, well, so we know the story. They got waxed super spiritual here. They cast lot, basically gambled, threw the dice to see who the new apostle would be. And Matthias came up. You know, and so they had now, okay, now he's the new 12th apostle. Well, you know, Jesus had just said, wait. He said, don't do anything. And so, interestingly enough, Matthias is never even heard of again in the Bible. You never hear anything else. And then just a few chapters later, Jesus goes and knocks a guy off of his donkey and shines the light. And He anoints his apostle, who was the Apostle Paul, you know. He anointed his choice. Well, but why am I saying that, friends? Is that there's times we need to just be quiet and wait until Jesus gives us the proper instruction. Jesus gives us the proper preparation. I'm reminded of Abraham and Sarah. You know, God promised them, you know, your seed will produce many nations. And so Hagar's, well, man, it's taken an awful long time. I don't know, you know, or go in there with my maidservant, with Hagar. And to make a long story short, the children of Isaac, you know, who was Abraham's promised son, and the children of Ishmael, who was the son who came out of man's flesh, till this day they're fighting a war. You know, the Israelites were the descendants of Isaac, and the Philistines or the Palestinians, you know, were the descendants of Ishmael. To this day, thousands of years later, they are still fighting a war because they didn't wait on the Lord. Friends, it's serious. There are times that, you know, we're to act, but there's times if Jesus doesn't give you instruction, you need to be still and wait. So my question is to you today now, what was the last thing that Jesus told you to do? I just want you to think about that. And then you keep doing that until the next thing He tells you to do. Blessings, my friend. I know that's a hard word for some of us, but sometimes we need to wait. Blessings.